much white in my background.
All right, we are just connecting here. So give us about 10 seconds and we are going to get into the details with Mr. Lewis Weaver. Hang tight.
Matt Curcio has been selling real estate in New Jersey since 2001. He's been recognized as a top 10 individual team leader for RE/MAX multiple times. Matt was the first eXp Realty broker in New Jersey to receive the prestigious Icon Agent Award. Matt is recognized as an industry expert and continues to support agents in the real estate community by hosting trainings for realtors locally and across the country. Welcome to the show, and here's Matt Curcio.
All right. So how we doing today, Mr. Weaver?
Oh, I couldn't be doing any better. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am awesome. Awesome. So
fantastic.
Another day in the life of a real estate agent, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Right. Cool, man. So in these interviews, what I like to do is I like to cover, a topic or two and, kind of share with the realtors across the country from the pros. You know what I mean? You've been doing this a long, long time. For those who don't know, where do you cover?
Oh, I'm in basically the Wasatch Front in Utah. So, Salt Lake City area up to the border of Idaho.
Nice, nice. So tell us, you've been a realtor a long time. I got it in our cover here. But why don't you share with us a little bit about how you got started and kind of, I guess where we got to today, because you started 17 years ago in the real estate industry. Tell us how you got to become a realtor and then eventually dual career to solo career.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to tell the story just because it is a little bit unique. And I've always been an entrepreneur right from the get-go, right? Because when I was 18 years old coming out of high school, I was going to buy a $30,000 truck. And back then, that might as well have been a $150,000 truck now, right? With inflation. And my dad said to me, son, you can do what you want. And we grew up really poor. I'm the youngest of 8 kids, no money, right? So I had no blueprinting on how to build wealth or what to do with my money or anything like that. And my father said, I can't teach you about money, but I think that's going to be a mistake. Why don't you read this book? And he handed me Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
That's great.
And I looked at it and I'm like, Rich Dad, Poor. Wow. What do rich people teach their kids that poor people can't? So I read that book in like 2 days. And I'm like, I'm going to buy real estate. That's what I'm going to forget the truck. I'm not going to buy the new Dodge diesel Cubbins, whatever, I'm just going to, I'm going to go into real estate. And so I got
to jump in here.
Okay.
I got to say something. It's crazy that you said that because I was just interviewed, right? From a guy out in Pennsylvania. And what changed my life was that book.
Yeah.
A friend of ours, we were doing something and, we wanted to look at different ways to make money. And he said, that guy makes a lot of money and he's in real estate. So I went up to him and I said, what should I do? He said, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yes. Never read a book before, right? Even coming out of high school, like I barely finished books, Yeah. And I read that one front to back and then jumped into real estate school and changed my life. So those of you listening, go watch the book.
Read
the book, listen to it, whatever. It'll change your mindset. If you're not into investing or you don't know the difference is that when you hear real estate agents or people in the real estate communities talking different languages, they're talking of principles from that book most of the time. So awesome, man. That's great.
That's so cool. I didn't know we had this basically the same story.
Yeah. So that took you to where?
That took me to getting my mortgage loan officer license. And who doesn't want to do a loan with an 18-year-old? You know what I mean? Like some young guy that just barely knows what the heck he's doing. They called me Louis Loads, Oh yeah, I'm going to go to Louis Loads. So my friends and my family supported me. People right around me, this young kid that doesn't have a house, nothing like that, but he's writing mortgages. And it taught me how to knock doors. It taught me how to get out of my comfort zone and talk to people. It taught me how to prospect basically and how I just had to hustle. And I had to want it more than anybody else, right? So I really start hustling, but then something happens. I have some chest pain and some problems, and I get real sick, and I fall down in a river, and I come out with pneumonia because it was wintertime, and I get sick, and I maintain my sickness, and it's not going away. I get pneumonia, find out that I end up needing open heart surgery, and that's not good for 20 years old. I don't know. Can you hear that echo?
No, I don't hear it. So you're good.
All right, cool. So 20 years old, I have $250,000 in debt, and I have to file medical bankruptcy.
Wow.
Not a great way to start. And
No.
that's no fun.
Yeah.
So,
sales is the only way to pick that up, though.
Yeah, the sales is the only way. So I'm bankrupt now, and my visions of buying the homes and everything is going to take a little bit longer, the investing side of things. But I thought, how could I get a deal? Maybe what I could do is start flipping homes or getting into investing somehow. And what happened was I had a question, and all money starts with an idea. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
It starts with a thought, because a billionaire thinks different than a millionaire and thinks different than a factory worker.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this thought. I was working on loans, and I asked my broker, why is the second mortgage? Because back then this was the 80-20 deals they were going to do, 80 on the first, 20 on the second. I go, why is the first 4% and the second 7%? And he said, well, because the second doesn't have the same rights as foreclosure. If they go to foreclosure, they have to pay off the first. And the first, if they go to foreclosure, they can wipe off the second. And this idea hit me. Where are these foreclosure sales at? He said, oh, they're in the paper, and you can look on the internet, and you can go to a trustee sale and just buy a house. And if you buy it for the first mortgage of 80%, that second mortgage gets wiped out. And I thought, ooh, there's 20% equity there. Plus, it's probably appreciated since they purchased it. That's enough of a spread for me to make some money.
Right.
So it took me a little while to figure out all the ins and outs. And my wife started working at a title company, and we learned everything about it. It took me a couple of years to buy my first investment property. Well, I did. And I go to the auction. I bring my $5,000 cashier check. Now it's $20,000 cashier check. And I'm just shaking, man. I am just shaking. And these old guys are like, hey, what are you doing here? And they were working the system. They were helping each other out. Yeah, I wasn't welcome in their club. They started telling me I shouldn't bid. So I got in an argument with them and said, I was a young, brash kid, right? Grew up a little tough. And I said, you better get out of my face or I said some bad things and made him get away from me. And then I bought the house, and then I was so nervous that my hand was just, as I was signing, because now I've just signed my life away. And I got the money.
Probably a lot of your life savings.
Oh, a lot of all my life savings.
If not all of it, but
my friend's money, right? Like my buddy's money, who has a line of credit on his house. Like, we're going all in on this. So I buy the property. Now I start thinking, I hope I was right. I hope about this. I hope about that. Well, we sell it 60 days later and make $30,000. Well, it was like $29,500. And that changed my life. I'm like, this is amazing. I'm gonna invest. But as I'm an investor, man, it's gonna be a lot easier if I just have my real estate license. So I ended up getting my real estate license. And then what happened from there, people started asking questions about that. And they saw me as an expert because I was selling homes. So the law of attraction, people just started coming to me. They wanted to talk to me about that. And as I had more and more information and this elusive thing, this was before Flip This House and all this other stuff. How are you buying houses? How are you flipping? How are you making that money? It gave me that credibility that a 20-year-old normally doesn't have in my early 20s, right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. And I decided to let my mortgage license lapse, and I'm just doing real estate. But then I'm running into a problem. We want to have kids. We get married. We decide we were going to want to have kids down the road. I need some kind of health benefits, and what am I going to do? What should I do? I don't know. I don't want another bankruptcy. My biggest thing was I don't want to do another bankruptcy. It took me years to rebuild my credit. Now I can finally own a home. I mean, it took a long time to get back to that point. So what can I do? And a friend of mine says, you ought to become a firefighter. That's great for your heart, right? He says, you ought to become a firefighter because they only work 10 days a month. And on all of them, they build houses, they do tile, they do this, do that. I'm like, that's a great idea. I can be an entrepreneur and have health benefits. So that's what I do. I go to I first call around, talk to some fire chiefs. They say, as long as your heart's fixed now, as long as you can pass the physical, as long as you get signed off by a doctor, we're okay. And I'm like, all right. And I have this saying that perfect makes you poor, right? And imperfect action can make you rich. Just go after it. So I'm like, I'm going to just join the fire academy. I'm going to do it. So I get in the fire academy, and I'm flipping houses at night, doing the fire academy during the day, trying to show houses, doing all this stuff. Yeah. And I finally get my fire job, and I just worked my butt off to get into. Back then it was, now the market had fallen. It was 07, 08. The market was crappy, and lots of foreclosures, lots of bankruptcy. A lot of people had went bankrupt and went into more of the, sector of fire, and a lot of the contractors left to go be firefighters. So when you're going into an interview, you might interview against 200 people. Well, guess what that did? That made me better at real estate. I had to fine tune my communication skills, right? My presentation skills to get a fire job. So I get it. And then all this makes sense, whereas where I'm getting to. So I get into the fire world and I start working my job. And I found out that the fire world really taught me how to be a businessman, really taught me how to communicate with people, because if you don't have good communication skills or people skills, how are you going to hang out at a firehouse for 48 hours with somebody maybe you don't like? How are you going to be on an ambulance with somebody you don't like? So how do you keep your mouth shut when you're being yelled at by an instructor or doing push-ups out in the bay? It taught me teamwork. It taught me how to interact with people. It was really good because I was a young kid that thought I was tough, that grew up hard, grew up poor. You know what I mean? I don't want to say I grew up hard because I had a great life, but lots of fights when I was younger, lots of, you know what I mean? You handle conflict with conflict instead of maybe seeing the other person's point of view and being a little bit more political, and, you know, conflict resolution skills I didn't really have. Well, the fire department, you're not going to fight your captain. Right. You're not going to fight someone being in your face telling you what to do.
The chain of command.
Yeah, the chain of command. Exactly. I also learned span of control. The Navy SEALs use it. The fire departments use it. You can't really control more than 5 to 7 things at once in your life, right? So if you're going to run a team, you want to have 5 to 7 people around you that you run, and let them run 5 to 7 people, and let them run 5 to 7. That's span of control. If you have 50 people you're trying to individually run yourself, you're never going to be able to do that at a level that you need to be efficient at. So I learned so much from the fire world, so much that I got really successful, and I started closing 30, 40. I think the most I did was 44 deals in real estate while being a full-time firefighter.
And that's awesome. You know, and back in those years, that wasn't easy. You know, 2007, 2008. That's when we were all hustling, right? There was not a day when I didn't come into the office and try to figure out who my next call was going to be. You were dialing expireds for sub owners, whatever, you know. So you had to become an expert on the phone, right? Which eventually builds your book of business. And I guess that gets into what we're here, you know, to talk about a little bit and dive into pretty deeply, which is your sphere, right?
Your sphere.
You built your sphere through being in the fire department, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that grows you organically in a community, right? Yep. And then I'm going to assume repeat and referral business based on the things that you're going to share with us today, which, you know, are going to be like, you know, how to stay in touch, what to say, how often to say it, instead of, you know, today it's, you know, the market's a little bit different, but it's still like, it's all back to the basics, man. You just got to be there for people.
Oh, 100%. I'll tell you. So after I got the fire job, I didn't do the cold calling or the door knocking or any of that because I had my base income, right? And everything was sphere of influence. So I was asked to teach all the time and say, how are you getting all these deals? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm treating people well. What do you mean I'm treating people well? No, like, are you paying for Zillow leads? Are you calling FSBOs, expireds? I'm like, no, I'm not. And 95% of my business is referral. And then
at 40 plus units a year.
At 40 plus units a year. Yeah. I mean, more than I could even handle, right? Just constant tons of business. Got to a point where I had to quit the fire service because now I can just pay for health benefits. And now I can easily do 50, 60 deals a year. And I have a team. We have 30 deals in the pipeline right now. And I'm teaching them the same concepts that I just did. You know, there's no special, amazing thing. I'll tell you exactly what I do. And what that is I have quality conversations with people and I add value to their life. That's what I do. And I set the upfront agreement with each client that I'm going to do such a good job for you that you're going to go find me more business and you're going to be excited about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it comes from. The easiest sell in the world is when you answer your phone and someone says, hey, Jake told me that you're the best agent. Can you come list my house?
Yeah.
You bet. I'll come over there. I'll do it. In fact, it was so good. It still is so good for me that I didn't even need to worry about like a presentation, a buyer's presentation. When I started working with Colton Lindsay, he's like, what's your buyer's? I'm like, I don't have one. I don't have a buyer's presentation, a listing presentation. I show up and I list their house. That's what I do. And he's like, what in the world? You know, and I'm like, yeah, it's a little bit unique because mine's all in the background and it builds up to where other people advocate for me. And that third party sell is huge. You could tell me, Matt, all day long that you're the best and you have the right systems and I should work with you. And in the back of my mind, I'm going to go, okay, that makes sense. But he's getting something out of this and he's got a reason and he's really good at presentations. But your friend calls me up and says, I got the deal, man. Matt is the best. If you are lucky enough to work with Matt, best decision you'll ever make in your life. And you're like, done deal. Hey, Matt, when can I work with you?
Yeah.
It's
And I'm going to chase you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to chase you. Exactly. It's
Right.
attraction-based marketing. And so with my team and I run a little mastermind. I'm doing it tomorrow. We coach other, people in my downline at Real because I want them to be successful. I coach them just like I'm sure you do the same thing. I'm like, what are the things that I'm doing that other agents are? And that leads me to this. Do you think the market has changed in real estate in the last decade? Is it different now than it was a decade ago?
Of course.
Of course, right? And with technology, it's completely. Remember actually sending faxes?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a group of offers. We had investors that were buying 10 houses. It was the worst part of it.
Yeah. Do you remember
all the offer sheets and faxing them all out?
Oh my gosh. What about 3 years ago? We didn't even know what Zoom was.
Right.
I didn't.
Right.
I know other people did. I didn't know what Zoom was till COVID hit.
Yeah.
I didn't. We're doing listing appointments, buyers appointments online. Remember when we thought Facebook was a joke?
Right.
I remember thinking Facebook was a joke. And when people said, I'm going to get Facebook leads, I'm like, oh boy, whatever. Right. And now basically you got to ask yourself, if you're not reaching out to your sphere of influence and your past clients, who is? Because I can tell you who is. Everybody on Facebook who's posting about right now. Like you could have a buyer right now who hasn't reached out to you and they see something on Facebook they love and they contact that agent and they're under contract by tomorrow. The speed of the transaction has exploded in the last decade. So how do you keep your clients? Because they have disruptors like me. I pay virtual assistants in the Philippines to call 6,000 people a month to ask if they want to sell their home just to find off-market properties. Because in Utah, we have 1,800 houses on the market when normally we have 8,000. And we have 26,000 agents. So there's not enough to go around, right? So I have to find off-market properties. How confident are you in your client that if I call them and I talk to them and I have a willing buyer ready to pay them top dollar for their house today, and they only have to pay my side of commission, are they going to call you and have you represent them? That's what you got to ask yourself. And
that's a great question, because that is true. And it's funny because I actually reached out. I got an email, searching through email, and I saw a friend of a friend that we just made an offer, and it just triggered like, hey man, I haven't heard from your buddy that works with you, so let me reach out. And we're about to be ready to list our home. Good for me. I just happened to touch them at the right time. But exactly what you're saying, somebody knocked on their door, and this is in Philadelphia, and hey, I got a buyer ready, willing, and able. And I never reached out again. I'm going to get the call that, hey, we're ready to buy in New Jersey, but we sold our house.
That's exactly the call you'll get. And I've had that call. That's what led me to this. That's what led me to, I got to keep in touch because the fortune's in the follow-up. And I tell you this, I've never lost a client by following up too much, but I absolutely have lost clients by not following up enough. And if you lose a client, here's what I tell everyone on my team and in my downline. If you lose a client because you didn't reach out to them, that's your fault. It's not their job to call you.
Yeah.
It's your job to remind them to call you, right? And let me give you some statistics. I actually looked these up. 2% of sales are made after the first contact, 3% after the second, 5% after the third, 10% after the fourth, but you don't get to 80% of sales made are after the 5th to 12th time you reach out to somebody. So it's convenient that we have 12 months in the year is how I look at it.
Yeah.
So I categorize my clients from A all the way to D, right? And A is basically what you want everyone to be. That's your best customer. They're someone who's either used you multiple times in the past or they refer multiple people to you. Okay. So that could be a probate attorney that sends you deals all the time. That could be a client that's used you 5 times in a row, or just someone who likes to send you business, right? Then you have A team people, and those are past clients. Maybe they'll send you somebody. B is somebody you know that if you asked, maybe they would send you referrals, right? And C is a new addition. Somebody you just met at Smith's, at Walmart, whatever. You've got their phone number. You met them at a game, at your kid's game or whatever. Then you have your online contacts, and then you have your delete, which is get them out of here, right? Because 10% of your clients take up 90% of your time when they're bad. So there's some clients you need to get out of your life. You need to just get rid of them. So I would not market to those ones, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So you're probably wondering, how do I reach out? What do I do every day?
Yeah.
Right. Because, and before I get into that, what I'd like to say is, people say, well, I only have this many clients, or I only have 30 clients, so I don't want to reach out to them every day. I'm like, I totally get that, but who are you missing? You know, family, friends, neighbors, people at your church, sports teams, social clubs, Facebook. Are you in any groups? Do you have an old classic car? Who are these people you're dealing with, right? And the goal is to get them in what I call as a client cycle, where basically you add them into your database, you build a relationship with them, you give excellent service and provide value in their life. Then you ask them for referrals. Then when they send you a referral, you acknowledge the referral, take great care, and send them a gift, right? And then you now convert that referral into an advocate to get you more business. That's a big picture of how the cycle goes. But people are like, well, how do you do that? I said, well, let's start with the A+ person. Let's start with somebody I know that they send me business all the time. I every day call 9 of them, because I have 108 people. I keep track of them. First of all, if you don't have a CRM and you're not keeping track of your data, then you're not going to be able to do this. Or you're just going to call the same person 3 times in a month, and they're going to be wondering what's going on with you, right? So you want to keep track. So I use a CRM. I use the Buffini way of doing stuff on when it comes to my sphere of influence, but I use their CRM, and I keep track of my clients. I have 108 that are A+. So I reach out to 9 a day. I call 9 of them a day, and I have a meaningful conversation, chat with them. And since they already know they send me clients, I don't have to ask every time. I keep track of what we've talked about last time, and I just reach out to them and talk with them. Ask how their life's going. Did they get that promotion at work? How is the SWAT team treating you? Whatever the conversation may be, right? I add value to their life because I care about them. I want to know what's going on with their life. And then I always ask, how can I help them? Is there anything I can do for you? And what does the law of reciprocation say? They always say, well, how's everything going with you? And I'm like, great, I'm killing it. I'm always proud to say I'm awesome at real estate.
Yeah.
I'm doing very, very well. And thank you, because it's people like you, Matt. You send me referrals all the time, and that feeds my family. And I just want to say thank you. And they're like, oh, you bet, man, anytime. Now that's a little bit different than the people who are like, who are your friends? Who can I bug that I can call today?
You're going to call me, right? You're going to call me. Don't forget.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I do the law of attraction,
the
right?
yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to beg it. I'm not at all. Instead, I let them know how great I'm doing, how well I'm taking care of my clients, how much fun I'm having with my clients. And thank you so much for being a part of that. I love that. And then someone says, oh, that's great. You've been in business 17 years. You got 108 people to do that to. How do I do it? I don't have anybody. I'm like, well, that's simple. That's upfront agreements, man. I met a lady. I'll give you an example. I met a lady at Smith's, our local grocery store, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm buying like 30. I bought all of the Chick-fil-A cards they had, the $10 Chick-fil-A cards. I bought all of them. And I come walking up with a stack, and she's like, what are you doing? And I tell everybody, I said, oh, these are for my clients. What do you do? I sell real estate. And I get all these birthday cards. I get $10 gift cards that I send for people's birthdays. And she's like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, you ought to see some of the gifts I give to some of my clients. Oh, you do? And I just start carrying on a conversation. And she goes, yeah, I was thinking about selling my house in the spring and blah, blah. And I said, well, I'm a great realtor, one of the top ones in the state of Utah. I would love to just tell you what your house is worth free of charge. She's like, yeah, that would be great. I'm like, can I get your phone number? Yeah, I get her phone number. I'm like, great. I'll text you later. She goes, okay, sounds good. I go home, follow through. I text her back. Hey, how are you? This is Lewis. I was the one with all the Chick-fil-A cards. Now we got something fun, right? Hey, I'm doing this CMA. Can you text me your address? Blah, 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 blah. And I also need your email so I can send it to you. What did I just get? Phone number, email. So I do a CMA, send it over. If you want me to really dial down the number, I need to come take a look at your house. But here you go. Here's a net sheet. I provide value to her, right? Yeah. Well, we now have a fun conversation about Chick-fil-A. Next time I go into Smith's, we're laughing about it. We're talking about, hey, thanks for sending that over to me, blah, 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 right? So about a month goes by. I decide to call her, and I'm like, hey, just checking in with you. She says, hey, how are you? Blah, blah. She knows the conversation. We bring up the Chick-fil-A thing. And I said, and this is a very important part of everything. When you call to ask to be their realtor, don't do it after the fact. You have to do it up front. Because if you do it after and I'll explain this. If you do it after the fact, they feel used. So if I called you up, Matt, and said, hey, man, how are you? How's life? Da, 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 da. And 15 minutes into it, I go, hey, the reason I was calling is I was wondering if I could be your real estate agent. What did you just think the last 15 minutes was?
Right. That makes sense.
I'm just buttering you up, right? I'm just trying to get you buttered up. So if I call you and say, hey, Matt, thanks for answering my phone. I want to talk to you for just a couple minutes real quick about real estate. Is that cool? Yeah. All right. Okay. Will you tell me why you love your current real estate agent? And she's like, what are you talking about? I don't have a real estate agent. Ha, ha, ha. You've been sending me stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. I just want to make sure. I'm not going to assume. I want an upfront agreement. And I wanted to polarize the conversation, right?
Yeah.
I want her right there to either say, well, yeah, sorry, you've been sending me this stuff, but my boyfriend's a realtor or my uncle's a realtor, or
Right.
I need to find out who their realtor is and if they love them. Now, let's say she says, yes, I love them. Awesome. My goal is to become like that person. Can you please tell me all the reasons you love working with your realtor? And if she says, sure, and tells me all of them, I'll listen. I'll say it back to her. And I'll be like, that's wonderful. Well, I totally respect you guys' relationship. Thanks so much for spending some time and giving me that advice. And then I move on.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if she says, no, I don't really have a realtor. Awesome. Well, let me ask you this. I would love to become your realtor, or at least someone that you could refer deals to, because I'll take amazing care of your clients. Would that be something you'd want to do? And they always say yes.
Mhm.
Sure. Why not? Okay. Tell me what you want out of a realtor. And they start, oh, well, I think good communication skills, or just make sure you understand the market. You take good, I can trust you. You're good with my clients. The people I send to you, you're going to treat them good. And you just reaffirm all that and say, wonderful. You know what? Since you're going to start sending me referrals now, I'm going to actually put you in as an A client. And what does an A client mean? I'm going to reach out to you probably once a month. I'm going to start sending you. Remember those gift cards I sent you? Yeah, you're probably going to get one on your birthday. When's your birthday? Okay. And then I'm also going to invite you to all my client appreciation parties. Does that work? Oh, yeah, for sure. And then I start sending them monthly updates with the market and some tips on their home stuff and what you should do in the spring. We send them a monthly email. And
Yes,
then
let's jump into that a little bit.
Sure.
For the agents that are watching,
100%.
What kind of tech do you use to stay in touch? There's every company's got their own CRMs and this and that. So what do you like?
I like Buffini Company's CRM, and in fact, I'll just pull it up here real quick. And I don't know if I can share on this.
No, not today, but
okay, no problem. I'll just pull it up. But basically, if you look up the Buffini Referral Maker CRM, it has a dashboard right up front. So you might get confused of like, who have I called? You don't want to have to keep track of every single little thing, right? So when I jump on my CRM, it says my 9 phone calls I need to make today. Looks like I have David Hummer, Daniel Hennifer, Jacob Hunt, Jacqueline Stegan, Callie Dumas, Targi Williams. I already know who I need to call today, right? So when I click on their name, I can look at all the notes that I've talked to them in the past. Jogs my memory of what we're going to talk about today. And then I just have a 5 to 10 minute conversation with them. I jump on and take notes there, thank them again, and that's it. So
what are you doing with systems for keeping them informed? So keep valuation tools, postcards.
Yep. So right here, I have thank you cards. I write 2 thank you cards a day. Anybody I've had conversations with, or maybe I did a deal with them, maybe whatever, they had a birthday, this and that. I send gift cards on their birthday, just a little gift card. And then I do what's called a pop buy. And a pop buy is you can build like 30 or 50 of these at a time, something cheap, nothing really expensive. Like if you have clients that drink alcohol, maybe get those little bottle shots of alcohol with a 20-ounce Coke, wrap a little ribbon around it, a card that says cheers to being such an amazing client, right? And if you're going to go out and show a house or doing a listing appointment, the app on your phone with Referral Maker will show you the clients in that area. So you're like, I'm going out there anyway, so I'm just going to hit 3 houses on the way, swing in, knock on their door, leave them a thing. Hey, just want to say thanks for being such a great client, move on. And what's great is they have hundreds of them in the CRM, hundreds of ideas. They have brownie mixes, they have flags, they have, for Christmas, you can deliver a few rolls of wrapping paper and they've got a cute little tag with it. They've got all these things just set up for you already. And then they send you the mailers each month. And once they're categorized in your CRM and uploaded, you can just hit send and it sends it out with their name on it. Hey, here's the updated for January, how to protect your system in the winter, blah, blah, blah. February, you can go through it.
Seasonal help.
Seasonal help, things like that, current market evaluation, what's going on. And then every year we do a CRM on their property. And that's a great reason for me to reach out to them and send them a CMA, right? Any of my past clients, hey, your market value is now this, and you can have a VA, a virtual assistant, do it. You can have someone on your team do it. You can leverage that out. Where Alec on my team, he just did all the CMAs for the Buyers Club last year. So we just sent those out to everybody, and then I call them. Hey, did you get our CMA? Can you believe you got $107,000 equity this year? It's so great that now you're having a great conversation with someone who's like, man, I just made $100,000 this year.
Yeah.
What a great reason to reach out to them, right?
Yeah. Good tool for that. For those who aren't using a technology for it is homebot.ai. And it kind of does that better than most standard CRMs. But you do have to have your list of past clients. You need their names and their emails and their current address. Otherwise it won't work, right? Because it's going to look them up, look the tax record up, calculate the mortgage and the rough value. So we just started playing with that, and that seems to be engaging with the consumer, because the consumer can then see exactly what you're saying. Holy cow, like I'm up $50,000 this year.
Yeah, sure.
And then they start peeking at their house value over and over again, which leads you to think, as an agent, that's somebody I should check in with in case they're thinking of making a move.
I love that. See, I didn't know about that. That would be wonderful.
Yeah. So homebot.ai, keep an eye on that.
I'll write that.
Yeah.
The other thing too is some people go, well, what if you can get a little long-winded and talk to your clients for too long. So you need to have a little bit of a plan of what you're going to say. But it's so easy with your A+ people. And then you can reach out to your C and B people and have that conversation of how to convert them to an A, right? And then if you're not you have a lot of appointments today, I'm not going to be able to call all 9. I like to use my net time. Colton Lindsay talks about this too. You're no extra time. So it doesn't cost you anything to use this time. If I have to drive for an hour to Salt Lake today, well, I'm going to do voice notes, or I'm going to call people on that drive and have a conversation with them. Now I'm going to have to remember some stuff and add it back into my CRM, right? But voice notes is huge. You can leave a voice note for somebody and engage with them and make them feel special. Like anybody who's watching right now, some of my past clients are probably going right now like, oh yeah, I got a voice note from him yesterday. Yeah, he was checking it.
John Hiller said Lewis is the best agent I ever used. Purely cared about our house situation.
Yeah, I love it. John is amazing. And what's crazy is everyone in my real estate team are past clients of mine. They want to be around me. Hiller, he's an awesome salesman. I got a flip going on right now. He's going to be putting the tile in there. They're doing the flooring. They're doing the cabinets. Why wouldn't I send business to my client, right? Yeah. I try and support my clients in any way I can. And it's just simple. The more you give to people, the more you get back. You know that, Matt. That the more value why are you doing this for everybody right now? You're adding value for people. And that's just going to enrich your life even more. And I write down an affirmation every single day of my life is I deserve to be rich because I add value to other people's lives. And that's become like the motto. If I'm adding value to other people's lives, what's wrong with becoming wealthy?
Right.
Absolutely nothing, and the more you care, ask any one of my clients, they know I care about them. The reason they use me is I'm genuine and I do my best job I can for them. And they don't even care if I'm the best. Now I'm one of the top agents, sure, but they used me when I wasn't. And that didn't matter. I beat out other agents that did 10 times my volume, that were way better, that had better presentations because I was genuine. Yeah. I cared. And I do client appreciation parties too. So we like to do 3 of those a year or 4, depending on COVID's been a little bit weird, right? This year, yeah. But we already have
agents. Give some of the agents watching like a couple of the ideas that you liked and used yourself.
Absolutely.
Even in COVID, obviously, because it's less touch, less groups.
Yeah, I like to do around Thanksgiving. A great one is to order Costco pies and ask everybody their favorite pie, and get that ordered and have them at your house, and then schedule during COVID time for them to come in and have like a 15-minute window. You chat with them and give them the pie a couple days before Thanksgiving. And I thought that was great. They would love something like that. We did, we had like in the fall out here, where a free pumpkin ride type thing. We paid for anyone that showed up. They got to go on pumpkin rides, and their kids could do all the amusement things and get cotton candy. And we were at the front entrance, so they came to get the ticket to us, went and enjoyed the day, and then we gave away a few prizes. And so we called them after, and we did a Facebook Live and gave away some prizes. That was good. This summer, we have a splash pad swimming pool area that's local to our area, North Shore Aquatic Center. Me and another agent actually teamed up. She's at Real with me, and we decided to book out the whole place because she has 300 or 400 clients. I have 300 or 400 clients, right? We're going to bring everyone into that and rent out the whole place and have a big party. That's going to be a fun one. We have a dinosaur park here in Utah that's, fake dinosaurs that make noises and everything, but it's a fun place for the kids. We'll do like pizza and drinks and the dinosaur park. Those have been some of you can do ice skating rinks. You can do the other great thing is the Buffini CRM has a bunch of ideas for that as well. You can get on there and do those, but we kind of keep them seasonal, a summer thing, a fall thing, a Christmas thing. Christmas gets a little hectic.
2 to 3 per year is the goal from your size. So you're selling, and how many people, with a few, you got to have like 400 people in your database, right? At least.
Yes. Yeah. I have about 400 and about 100 and 108 of those are A+.
Right. Yep. So with that, you obviously start with it's only going to be local to the event, a little bit, I would assume.
Yes.
But what kind
and
of
only A+.
Rate?
So my last one, we had, I think 300 people show up because we invited our A, but they invite their family, right? So they're coming out, and I'm not going, if I invited all 300, if I invited everybody and their family showed up, we might have 1,000 people there, which that's okay too, because people have used me just because they got to go and get a free pumpkin and ride the ride and do some fun stuff. It's amazing the loyalty people build for you. Like you can see my LW shirt. I don't give away these because this is a business shirt, but I have an LW hat. I have an LW coffee mug where I have the Maltese cross on it because I was a firefighter. So what did I do? I made $1,000 worth of these hats. I got them ordered from Logo Up, and I ordered a bunch of these coffee mugs and shot glasses. And then I put on Facebook, who would want a hat, a shot glass, or a coffee mug? And everybody wanted one, right?
Yeah.
So I knew what I was doing for a few months. People text me, hey, when do I get my hat? Come to my house or I'll come out and meet you. Swinging by, give them, that's like a $3 thing. Give them a coffee mug with your logo on it, right? They love it.
It's funny, these t-shirts, right? So this is a little nicer one for me, but
sure.
We have our regular ones that we give out at closings. And I ran into somebody, we played, I sponsored all my softball and baseball teams over the years.
Yeah.
My buddy's wife had a shirt on from when I know it was like my second, year in the business at Remax. She still had it.
Yeah. People love it. I'll do fun giveaways of like, hey, show me the coolest place you got my hat or shirt or swag on. And you got people climbing mountains, taking pictures, they're skydiving, whatever. They got one of my buddies was an undercover cop. He's like tackling a guy with my hat on backwards. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are crazy. So then I would give little fun prizes of whoever brought the coolest thing,
I got a buddy he does it with coolers.
Yeah.
And the cooler has its own Facebook page.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah.
And he kills it with it, man. It's a great idea. And I forget the name of the Facebook page, but like everybody takes it to their vacations and takes pictures with it. And, it's just a running, joke of who's got the cooler.
Well,
and where it ends up.
That's a brilliant idea. That's an absolute brilliant idea. Think about, people said, man, you spent a lot of money on coffee mugs, let's call it 2,000 between the mugs and the shot glasses and everything else. I'm like, yeah, well, I kept track. And the people who said, I know the reason they used me is like, hey, thanks so much for that hat, man. And I didn't really have a connection with them before. I made about $50,000 or $60,000 off of that investment. Yeah. And they're wearing my swag. They're representing my brand. And if I would say this to the agents out there, a big moment that changed in my life is when I started branding myself, because LW is my whole thing. And it's great. It works perfect with Real. It works with any brokerage I'm at, because if you switch brokerages, you want your people to stay with you, right? And what if you start to scale? Like now I have a team, and anybody who comes to me to get a real estate deal done gets a better transaction than me a year ago, 2 years ago, because now they get me, they get a full-time assistant, they get a dedicated agent working with them. When if I'm maybe too busy, they can show them houses. They get my expertise, they get my negotiation skills, they get all that, but they get the hungry agent who's willing to show them a house at 8 o'clock at night within an hour, right? So they get a better experience, and they still have me because they have my brand, they have they have what I stand
trust
for.
it.
They trust it.
They trust it. And yeah, that's part of growing a team, right? Eventually letting those things go and having those right people. And, that's just awesome. So getting back to the sphere, what other kind of tricks or best marketing tips, I guess you could tell agents? So you got the CRM, if you don't know who he's talking about when he says Buffini, it's Brian Buffini,
Brian
real estate
Buffini.
coach, great company, great coaching program. So look him up. Then we talked about HomeBot, client events. What other things, staying in touch, what other things do you kind of highly recommend?
I would say business partners, other companies that you could do market for or promote that you can now win them over and have them send you referrals, like a tile guy, a paint guy, take all your contractors that help you fix a house and throw their name out. And in Utah, they're swamped right now, and maybe they wouldn't want that. But if you do some marketing for them, they're constantly going to houses where people are remodeling before they sell their house. Attorneys is a good one. And I like to break bread with those people. I started my real estate career. That's something I missed. My coach, when I started, he said that's how he built his entire business. And now he's a big broker over one of the biggest brokerages in the state. And he did it all by networking with other businesses. So he found, 10 other businesses he'd network with and said, I want to do some free marketing for you. And back then we didn't have as much we didn't have the social media stuff, but so you could tag them in posts, you can promote their business very easily now on social media. Back then they did emails, right? And he goes, give me a coupon or something, maybe 10% off of your company if I send it out to my whole sphere of influence, 500 people. And they go, oh yeah, sure. If you do that, we'll give them this much of a discount, whatever. Highlight them this week, right? So he'd know this nice email with an update on the market, something about his personal life, and then current rates right now. And then he would highlight somebody and what they do and the discount they get with working with this person. And he did it for 10 people. And he would send those out to his database and do some free marketing for those companies. And then every 10 weeks he would meet with that person, because once a week he would go with that company head that he knows from that company and break bread with them, have lunch, have coffee, and show them what he's doing for them to try and build their business. And what naturally happened, they would share that with their employees and they would start promoting your business. So that's another huge step. You don't realize there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that would be happy to support your business if you can throw some business their way as well.
Right.
And it makes you a better real estate agent. If you have a tile guy, if you have a carpet guy, if you have a cabinet guy, a countertop guy, what do people need when you go to work on their house? The number one question I get is, can you come take a look at my house and tell me where I might need to fix it up a little bit to get top dollar? And when you show up, and John Hiller's one of them, you know what? John Hiller, if he's still on here, Monday went and met with one of my clients, TJ, to give them a carpet bid on their house because they're going to get more money out of their house if we do new carpet and paint. And then a contractor I know, hey, can you go give us a bid on the paint? So I'm trying to support those businesses. And if they get those bids and they help out TJ and he nets more money, I've made TJ's life better because I made him more money. I made John Hiller and the contractor's life better. Who do you think they're going to use for real estate?
Right. Yep. And so that goes to, every, other business that's connected to real estate, whether it be attorneys for divorce, death, all that stuff. Those are relationships. And, I tell people, don't forget about your lenders, right? Your lenders, your title, your everybody, because those guys are connected to us too. So you need to help each other, especially when you're younger. In the business. So yeah, man, this is great information. So we happen to be partnered, through a friend at Real Brokerage. For the agents who are wondering, about Real Brokerage, why did you pick Real to partner with? after you had owned your own company, right?
Yes, 100%.
So let's talk about that for about 5 minutes, and then we'll cut everybody loose here. But tell
Okay.
everybody what made you, look at it, and why do you think it's a good fit for where you are right now today?
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. So I worked at 3 different real estate companies over the 15 years, and then I started my own brokerage, and that was just because I tore my pec lifting weights, and I was bored, and I was sitting there, and I'm like, I can't do anything. I'm gonna get my broker's license. And then once I got my broker's license, I thought, you know what? Why don't I just run my own company, lead with the cultures and values that I want? Because I have all these people coming to me that want to work with me anyways, and I'm running a team. I'll make a ton of money if I'm a real estate broker. That's what I'm going to do. Then I found out you don't. When you're a real estate broker and you're paying for air and emissions insurance, and you're worried about compliance, and you have trust accounts, and you have a full-time assistant now, and now you have payroll, and now you have all the stuff. You have to have about 200 agents to make even close to what you're making in real estate. Not even close. I know brokers with 200 agents that are making like 200 grand a year. Well, if you can make 500,000 a year selling real estate, why am I going to try and manage 200 people and possibly get sued with 200 people under me to make half of what I was making before? Yeah. This is what I found out running my own brokerage, right? So then I'm talking to Colton and Scott, and they say, we ran our own brokerage and Real came to Utah, and that's something you ought to take a look at. And I said, well, okay, tell me a little bit about it. And they said, wouldn't you like to just get the revenue part rather than all the expense part? And I said, what are you talking about? And they said, well, if you come to a Real broker and you bring your team with you, anybody that you directly bring under you, you get 33% of the company revenue. I said, what are you talking about? And they said, well, they only have an 85-15 split. And of that 85-15, they get 10, you get 5.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
for the agents, real quickly, it's becoming a hot word, revenue share in the industry. So, this model has revenue share.
It has revenue share.
Yeah. Direct revenue share, 5 levels deep. For those who want to learn more about it, just get with Lewis, get with me. We can explain it more in detail. So that was a big thing, especially for a broker owner, right?
Yes.
So how about on the agent side? What did you really like on the agent side?
On the agent side, I liked that they gave me an app. I liked that the commission split was 85-15. Here's the kicker: only a $12,000 cap. Because I'm a big producer. I do a lot of real estate. If I only have to pay 12 grand, the other company I was working for, I only did $500 a transaction. Well, I paid them 25 grand because I did 50 deals.
Yeah, I did 60 deals. I'm glad you said that, because some people don't do that math.
Yeah, they don't do the math. They're like, I only want to pay 500 a deal. I'm like, I paid way more.
Yeah,
I paid way more at the brokerage that didn't charge very much. So I love that. I love that they're tech based, and they have a training to where all the elite agents across the country, basically across the entire country, that make over $500,000 a year, they can teach in the Real Academy. And the Real Academy has trainings every single day that you can watch, and you can go back and watch and learn from the best in the entire country. And I believe power of proximity. When I want to be the dumbest, poorest person in the room as often as I can be, right? So if I can take advantage of people like Matt Curcio, people like Colton Lindsay, people who, this person made 2.7 million in real estate last year, I could probably learn from that person. I'd like to listen to those trainings. So I love that. I love that my app can keep track of everything for me, and I can jump on anytime and be like, this is my commission. Here's when I'm getting paid next. By the way, the title company cuts me a check. No more waiting for my money to go back to the broker and then wait for it to process. And days later, I get my money. Literally, we go to closing and the title company calls me and say, okay, we're recorded. Do you want me to wire it or deposit your check? Yeah. Go ahead and deposit it. That'll be
for
great.
All my East Coast friends. That's not in our states.
Sorry.
We don't have that option. But
yeah, well, it's amazing
I heard
for
about
me.
it across the country that some states allow agents to get paid right at closing.
Yeah.
And the company sends their splits or whatever, which is great. That's awesome for you guys.
Yeah. And then what probably the biggest reason was the stock options. Now, I had seen everybody at EXP years ago who tried to talk me into joining EXP get in and get a bunch of stock and make a bunch of money with the stock, because it went from a few dollars all the way up to like $150, right? Well, I was trying to build a brokerage and eventually one day take it big. And I just realized Real is like 500 steps ahead of me.
Yeah.
And they've already got a national presence. They're growing like crazy. there was only less than 2,000 agents when I joined 11 months ago. Now there's like what, 4,000?
Yeah,
And
we're about to cross 4,000.
yeah, we're about to
Same
cross
thing.
4,000.
We joined close. I'm a couple months behind you.
Yeah, it was incredible. And so I looked at it as their stock options. I'm like, so you're telling me when I pay 12,000 in stock or in I cap and I hit that 12,000, you're just going to give me a bunch of shares to a publicly traded company?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that changes with how many agents they get, but I got a few thousand shares right off the bat. Then everyone that I brought over from my team, when they closed their first deal, I got 1,000 shares. Then it went down to 500. But this year they gave me 21,500 shares of stock, right around there. Yeah. I bought an additional 40,000 shares because the company's going
right.
places.
You earned it based on.
I earned it.
You earned it based on the program.
Yes, because
that's out there.
Yes, exactly. Every time you close a deal, they allow you to buy 5% in stock, and then they match it by 25%. Once you cap, you can put 10% in, and they'll match it by 50%. And me just being a guy that's become wealthy with investing, that you're speaking right to my soul. I'm going to close deals anyways. I'm going to pay a broker anyways. You're telling me I can pay less, I can get stock, I can get revenue share, and I don't have to have $100,000 of overhead to run my own company.
Right. And I'm going to jump in and say it's tech-based, right?
It's tech-based. Yep.
Tech-based, less offices, right? Typically one per state, and then team leaders or whatever open their own branches like I happen to have here.
Yep.
For those of us who have staff and stuff like that. But in general, the technology tools, it's not a cheap brokerage either, right? Yeah. So what I tell everybody is it's when you hear 12,000 cap or an 85 split, years ago when I was at Remax, I used to warn people like, hey, just be careful because you get a lot less, right? Yeah. When that split goes up, that broker's doing a lot less, which is true in general, right? Because I'm sure somebody on a 50-50 split today might have an advertising budget from whoever they joined,
Right. Sure.
But in general, we're not discount, and it's not, the tech is here for you to succeed.
Yes.
And the tools that are here to help you grow your real estate business, including the academy and workplace and SkySlope and the digital signature included in SkySlope. All those tools were not cut out of the picture and thrown on the agent here. So I think it's a great brokerage as well. And when you're saying the investment side, like that's just bonus.
That's bonus.
I was in a franchised model before, and we lost that money to the franchise. There's always an override, and a lot, probably 80% of real estate companies have an override to a franchise. And at the end of the day, here you can take your own money, invest it in the company if you choose to, and if you help it grow, well, agent count adds to bottom line profit in these models. So I don't see how the company won't grow. And with great agents like yourself, being here, giving back to the community, I'm gonna guess that you're willing to help agents as much as you're talking about. We talked about your sphere. You're willing to help your agents that are with you as well, right? Same way.
100%. I'm going to a meeting tomorrow where I spend about $25,000, $30,000 a year on education for myself, on masterminds, and to learn from people who are achieving 10 times the things I'm achieving, right? I take all that training and give it to anyone who's with me at Real, who's a partner with me at Real, because if they succeed, I make more money, right? It's why not? Why shouldn't I help them? And
you're willing, and it's not just people with you, right? Like at the end of the day, this company is so awesome.
Exactly.
We got agents from across the country that, a buddy of mine, Eric Hatch, he joined, and like 2 weeks in, he already had his own mastermind group, on the academy. It's just awesome to see everybody helping each other grow. Because, I learned early in business from Floyd Wickman, we get by giving. Right. So
100%.
Share your knowledge.
That's it. That was another reason I joined, was seeing all the big hitters come over here and how much they believe in collaboration. There's not this, let's fight over and worry about scarcity. It's an abundance mindset. And I love that they're more attraction based. They're like, we want to attract great agents who do a lot of real estate, who want to help others. And that was like first and foremost, like the first thing they said to me. And I'm like, okay, that's what I'm trying to do with my own brokerage. I like that because I grew up in the fire world. We help each other. We believe in teamwork. It's we before me. all the time. Everyone on my team is a firefighter, military, police history background, right? We're all team oriented. So to come to a tech-based company that seems to have it all and have a culture, that's pretty amazing, honestly. And they've been nothing but great. When I call some of the highest up people at Real Broker that you wouldn't think you could even message and get an answer, they're calling me back within 15, 20 minutes and talking and helping me solve my problem. And I'm going, this is amazing.
Yeah.
What a company.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would tell everybody, if you're interested in learning more, reach out, either one of us or anybody you know at the company. It's a great company. So any last words for, hey, we named it, about connecting with your sphere. You shared a lot of great stuff for agents to take and go implement today.
Yeah.
So any last words for agents?
You know what I'll say? Normally we end with like a question and answer and my kind of stuff I do. And if you guys have questions, reach out to me, reach out to Matt, because I'm happy to share more. I'm happy to answer questions you have. And just know that imperfect action gets you there a lot faster. Just go out there and get it done. Start making things happen. You don't have to have the perfect, you don't have to say everything perfect. You don't have to have the perfect client appreciation party. Just go take action. I was worth nothing to Multi-Millionaire just from taking imperfect action and asking people for help and collaborating with people. So if you have questions, message me on Facebook. I'm LW Real Estate or Lewis Weaver. You can Instagram, message me, whatever you want. And I'm happy to help you any way I can. We can jump on a 15-minute Zoom call and talk about your business and see how I can help you. I've been doing that a lot lately with people. They've been reaching out to me and I'm talking to people in North Carolina about their business and helping them. So
awesome.
And I want to thank you, Matt. This is great. Yeah. I'm very honored. You're a big deal. You're an awesome guy, and I look up to you a lot. So to have you welcome me on here is a big deal, and I really appreciate it.
I appreciate any knowledge we could share to the industry only helps the industry, right? So
that's right, 100%.
That's why I do this, and yeah, man, I'm happy to be in business with you, and
yeah,
I can't wait to see you again. By the way, guys, we're also in a great mastermind. Colton Lindsay, if you don't know him, he's an awesome guy. So we mastermind together a couple times a year. We get to go together, and then we're on calls all the time. So
yes, sir.
If you don't know anything about masterminds, learn about them, right? So,
absolutely. Oh yeah.
All right, cool, Lewis. Well, we will be in touch, man.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great day.
All right.
See ya.